There's a moment, quiet, tender, often inconvenient, where we are faced with a choice. Do I show up as I am, or do I become who they expect me to be? It's a question most of us have answered with compromise for far too long. We dim the light, mute the voice, wear the mask, and the world may clap. But inside we ache. The truth is, pretending is expensive. It costs you your peace, your joy, and sometimes your entire sense of self. When we trade authenticity for approval, we sign a silent contract. I'll betray myself if you promise to like me. But here's what that contract never mentions. That approval is fleeting and self-betrayal compounds. To be true to yourself, you must own your story, all of it, not just the shiny parts. Not just the moments that fit neatly in an Instagram square or a polished biography. I'm talking about the tears on the bathroom floor, the nights filled with doubt, the dreams you shelved because someone said they were too much. Every bit of that matters. Every fragment is part of your truth. And until you bring it into the light, it will own you. But when you bring your whole self to the table, that's when transformation happens. Being authentic doesn't mean you won't be afraid. It means you choose to be seen anyway. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the birthplace of belonging, creativity, joy, and connection. We can't truly love or be loved if we're hiding. We can't lead if we're wearing armor. And we can't grow if we're playing it safe behind a persona we built just to survive. But let's be honest, living truthfully is risky. People might walk away. Some already have. When you start showing up as your whole self, the right people will come closer, and the wrong ones will fall away. It's your job to be the shape you were born to be, and to stop apologizing for taking up space. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are not a burden. You are brave. You are resilient. And you deserve relationships where your authenticity is celebrated, not tolerated. That kind of connection begins with boundaries. Saying no isn't rude. It's necessary. Saying this isn't okay isn't dramatic. It's sacred. Boundaries are the invisible lines that protect your worth, your energy, and your heart. When you set them, you're not pushing people away. You're drawing a sacred circle of self-respect around your life. Courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet decision to speak truthfully, to say, I don't agree with that, or this doesn't align with who I am. It's the whisper that says I matter. Being true to yourself doesn't mean you'll never be misunderstood. It means you're willing to be misunderstood for the sake of your soul. That's real bravery. Perfection is a moving target that keeps you running in circles. But wholeness, that's where peace lives. Wholeness says, I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to be me. And when you stop editing yourself for acceptance, you give others permission to do the same. Your authenticity becomes a lighthouse for others who are lost in their own storm of expectations. So if you feel like you're constantly shifting to fit the mold, let this be your sign. You are allowed to take the mask off. You are allowed to exhale. You are allowed to begin again in your truth. Not tomorrow. Now. You don't need to become anything more. You only need to return to who you already are before the world told you who to be. That version of you is still here, and they are waiting, not for perfection, but for permission. Give it to yourself. And don't look back. We are taught, almost from the moment we can walk and talk, to play roles. Be polite. Be agreeable. Don't speak too loudly. Smile even when your stomach is turning. Not even when you don't agree. Blend in, keep the peace. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, we begin to drift away from ourselves. Not with one giant leap, but with 1,000 tiny choices that feel harmless, even wise. At the time, pretending is not always dramatic. It can look quiet, composed, even admired. It's the person who says, "I'm fine," when they're breaking inside. It's the one who is the life of the party, yet feels completely alone in a crowded room. It's the girl who laughs at the joke that cuts her deeply, or the boy who wears confidence like a costume while battling unseen shame. Pretending often gets applause, but what people are clapping for is not you. It's the version of you you've manufactured to earn their acceptance. And that applause, it's addictive. Because when you've spent years being rewarded for your performance, the silence that comes when you stop pretending feels unbearable. But make no mistake, there is a price for pretending, a real one, and it comes in the form of your own soul. You start to wake up tired, not just in body, but in spirit. You find yourself anxious in rooms that once felt familiar. You smile in photos, but when you look back, you see the sadness in your own eyes. You begin to resent the very people you once longed to impress. Not because they're bad, but because their affection was never for the real you. And deep down, you know it. That gnawing ache, that's the cost of self-abandonment. Every time you silence your voice to keep the peace, you wage war on yourself. Every time you say yes when you mean no, a small part of your self-respect erodes. Every time you hold back your truth to be liked, you reinforce the lie that your authenticity is a liability. Over time, that lie becomes a belief. That belief becomes a mindset. That mindset becomes a prison. And here's the thing, people rarely know you're pretending because you're so good at it. You've made it art. And so the world keeps celebrating a version of you that feels miles away from your truth. And it's isolating even in the middle of praise, especially in the middle of praise, because what's more painful than being deeply loved for someone you're not? The cost isn't just emotional. It's physical, spiritual, and psychological. Pretending wears down your nervous system. You live in constant vigilance, rehearsing, editing, anticipating what others need you to be. It steals your creativity because innovation comes from risk and you're too busy playing it safe. It sabotages your relationships because intimacy can't grow in pretense. Only truth invites connection. And what about your dreams? When you pretend long enough, you forget what you even wanted in the first place. You stop hearing the whisper that once called you to something bold and true. You don't even know what lights you up anymore. Only what keeps you safe. That's not living. That's surviving. You are made for more than survival. Let's talk about why we pretend. It's not because we're weak. It's because we're wired for belonging. From the moment we're born, we need connection like we need air. But somewhere along the way, many of us confuse belonging with fitting in, and fitting in requires shape-shifting. It demands that you shave off your edges, round out your personality, and smooth over your truth. And it works. Temporarily. Until it doesn't. Belonging, true belonging, only happens when we show up as ourselves, without the mask, without the armor, without the performance. And yes, it's terrifying because we risk rejection. But here's the truth that will set you free. If love requires you to be someone you're not, it isn't love. If acceptance requires your silence, it isn't acceptance. If being liked means you have to disappear, then being liked is too damn expensive. You were not created to live a half-life. You were not born to be palatable, digestible, or universally approved. You were made to be whole, fully, unapologetically you. That includes your voice, your boundaries, your wildness, your softness, your strength, your wounds, and your weirdness. All of it. Every bit of your humanity is sacred, and anyone who asks you to pretend in order to be worthy of love is not offering love. They're offering control. You don't owe the world a watered-down version of yourself. You don't have to keep performing just to keep the peace. Peace that costs you your integrity is not peace, compliance. And there comes a time when you must choose between peace with others and peace within yourself. Always choose the latter. Because the moment you stop pretending, the healing begins. The real relationships emerge. The ones where you can say, this is who I am, and the other person doesn't flinch. They lean in. The work you were meant to do starts to flow. The exhaustion lifts because you're no longer burning energy on being someone else. The mirror becomes your friend again, not your judge. And the joy, it returns, not the performative kind, the quiet kind, the kind that comes from integrity, from alignment, from knowing that your inner life and outer life finally match. I won't lie to you. Letting go of the persona hurts. You will grieve it. Because it helped you survive. It kept you safe. Protected you when you didn't have the tools to protect yourself. But you're not surviving anymore. You're growing. And growth demands truth. So, if you're tired, not just in body, but in soul, maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're just tired of pretending. Maybe your exhaustion is your invitation to come home, to take off the mask, to say the thing, to walk away from what no longer aligns, to finally be seen. And that, right there, is the most radical act of self-love you will ever commit. You, as you are. No filter, no facade, just truth. And that is enough. It has always been enough, so stop pretending. There comes a moment in every journey, a line in the sand, a quiet awakening, where you must decide whether you'll continue running from your story or stand tall and own it. That moment is sacred and terrifying because owning your story is not just about revisiting the past. It's about reclaiming the power you unknowingly handed over to shame, fear, or the opinions of others. Your story is not what happened to you. It's not your trauma, your mistakes, or your failures. Those are chapters, important ones. But your story is who you became in the middle of it all, who you are becoming still. The truth is, we can't rewrite our lives by editing the painful parts out. We rewrite our lives when we stop pretending those parts didn't shape us, when we pick up the pen with shaking hands if we must, and say, this is mine, all of it. There is immense power in refusing to be ashamed of where you've been. Not because everything you've experienced was fair or deserved, but because pretending it didn't matter keeps you imprisoned. The only way to transform the past is to face it, not with judgment, but with compassion. When you deny your story, it doesn't disappear. It lives inside your body. It echoes in your relationships. It seeps into your decisions, your fears, your silence. Denial doesn't free you, it binds you.